Every morning, millions of Indians drink coffee believing it is safe, clean, and good for their health. But behind familiar labels and comforting routines, serious quality issues are being ignored. Today, we reveal the coffee brands Indians should stop drinking immediately. 9. Leo Coffee. Leo coffee has been a household name in South India for decades. For many Indian families, especially in Tamil Nadu and Karnataka, Leo coffee is seen as tradition, not a brand to question. It is associated with filter coffee culture, early mornings, and nostalgia. But that emotional trust has allowed Leo coffee to avoid the kind of scrutiny that modern consumers should demand. One of the biggest issues with Leo coffee is its heavy reliance on very dark roasting. Dark roasting is often marketed as strong or authentic, but in reality, it is one of the easiest ways to hide poor quality beans. When coffee is roasted aggressively, the original flavor of the bean is destroyed. All defects taste the same once the beans are pushed to that level of bitterness, and consumers are trained to accept it as normal. There is also very little transparency around sourcing and bean grades. Leo coffee does not clearly communicate where its beans come from, what quality standards are used, or how beans are stored before roasting. In a hot and humid climate like India, improper storage dramatically increases the risk of mold growth and degradation. Consumers are trusting a legacy name, not verified quality, and that is exactly where the risk begins. 8. La Vista Coffee. La Vista Coffee is widely marketed as a modern Indian coffee brand, appealing to everyday consumers across South India. It positions itself as affordable, convenient, and suitable for daily consumption, which has helped it grow rapidly in homes and offices. But popularity does not equal quality, and most consumers never stop to question what goes into producing coffee at this scale. La Vista relies heavily on industrial processing to maintain long shelf life and consistent taste. This level of processing strips away much of the natural character of the coffee bean. What remains is a flat, sharp flavor designed to deliver caffeine rather than quality. Over time, Indian consumers are conditioned to associate this harsh taste with strong coffee, even though it often reflects lower-grade beans. Another major concern is the lack of transparency around sourcing and quality control. La Vista does not clearly disclose bean origins, storage conditions, or selection standards. In India's warm and humid climate, coffee beans are especially vulnerable to degradation if not handled carefully. When brands prioritize volume and speed over careful handling, consumers are left trusting branding instead of verified quality.
7. Continental Coffee. Continental coffee has built its presence in India by focusing heavily on affordability and mass availability. It is commonly found in households that prioritize price over anything else, especially in urban and semi-urban areas. This positioning makes it appealing to a wide audience, but it also raises serious questions about what compromises are being made behind the scenes to keep costs so low. The flavor profile of continental coffee is noticeably harsh and one-dimensional. This is often a sign of lower-grade beans combined with aggressive roasting and processing. Instead of allowing the natural characteristics of coffee to develop, the process forces consistency at the expense of quality. Indian consumers are taught to accept bitterness as strength, when in reality it often signals poor bean selection. Transparency is another major issue. Continental coffee provides very little information about where its beans are sourced, how they are stored, or what quality checks are in place. In a country like India, where heat and humidity can quickly degrade agricultural products, poor handling increases the risk of deterioration. Consumers are buying a familiar name, not verified standards, and that gap is where quality is quietly lost. 6. Brew Coffee. Brew coffee has been part of Indian households for generations and is especially popular in South India. For many consumers, brew feels reliable and familiar, a brand that has always been there. That long-standing presence creates trust, but it also discourages people from questioning what they are actually drinking every day. Brew is well known for its strong, bold taste, which largely comes from heavy roasting and blended formulations. This approach creates a uniform flavor but removes much of the natural complexity of coffee. Dark, aggressive roasting is often used to mask inconsistencies in bean quality, making different batches taste the same even when the underlying beans vary significantly. Another concern is the lack of clear information about sourcing and quality standards. Brew does not openly communicate where its beans come from or how they are handled before processing. In India's climate, poor storage and large-scale handling can quickly affect bean integrity. Consumers trust the brand's history, not transparent quality controls, and that trust is rarely questioned. 5. Tata Coffee. Tata Coffee carries the weight of one of India's most trusted corporate names. Many consumers assume that the Tata name automatically means higher standards, better ethics, and superior quality. That assumption, however, often goes unexamined when it comes to everyday products like coffee. One issue with Tata Coffee is inconsistency across its product range. While the company owns large estates and has access to good coffee growing regions, the final consumer products are designed for mass distribution. Blending strategies and industrial processing are used to maintain uniform taste, which can dilute quality and hide differences in bean grade. Transparency is another concern. Tata Coffee does not clearly explain which beans go into which products or how quality is maintained from farm to cup. In a country as large and climatically diverse as India, traceability matters. Without clear disclosure, consumers are trusting the corporate reputation rather than verified information about what they are drinking daily. 4. Nescafé Sunrise. Nescafé Sunrise is marketed as a coffee made specifically for Indian tastes, focusing on affordability and everyday consumption. It is widely available across cities and smaller towns, making it one of the most consumed coffees in the country. That level of reach gives it enormous influence over what millions of Indians accept as normal coffee. The taste of Nescafé Sunrise is largely engineered through processing rather than bean quality. Strong bitterness and aroma are created to deliver consistency at scale, not to highlight natural coffee characteristics. This approach allows lower-grade beans to be used while still producing a familiar flavor that consumers recognize and trust. There is also very little transparency about sourcing and formulation. The packaging does not clearly explain where the beans come from, how they are selected, or how long they are stored before processing. In India's hot and humid environment, these factors matter. Consumers are relying on branding and habit, not clear information about quality or handling standards. 3. Nescafé Classic. Nescafé Classic is one of the most recognizable coffee brands in India, often seen as the default choice for instant coffee. For many Indians, it is the first coffee they ever drink, shaping their perception of what coffee is supposed to taste like. That early familiarity creates long-term loyalty, even when quality is rarely questioned. The defining feature of Nescafé Classic is its extremely long shelf life. To achieve this, the coffee undergoes heavy industrial processing that prioritizes stability over freshness. This level of processing strips away much of the bean's natural character, leaving behind a sharp, flat taste designed to deliver caffeine rather than quality. Despite its massive popularity, Nescafé Classic offers very little transparency. Consumers are not told where the beans are sourced, how old they are before processing, or what quality standards are applied.
In a country with challenging storage conditions like India, this lack of clarity matters. What people trust is the logo, not verifiable information about what ends up in their cup. 2. Davidoff Cafe. Davidoff Cafe presents itself as a premium coffee brand in India, often positioned as a step above everyday instant coffee. The elegant packaging and higher price point create the impression of superior quality, especially for Indian consumers looking to upgrade their coffee experience. But premium branding does not automatically mean premium sourcing or processing. One major concern with Davidoff Cafe is the lack of clear information about bean origin and quality standards. The brand does not openly communicate where its beans are grown, how they're selected, or how freshness is preserved. Without this transparency, consumers are paying more for image and positioning rather than verified improvements in quality. The flavor profile is designed to be smooth and broadly appealing, which often comes from blending and controlled roasting rather than exceptional beans. Consistency is prioritized over character. For Indian consumers, this means paying a premium price for coffee that is still produced at an industrial scale, with very little insight into what truly sets it apart from cheaper alternatives.
1. Starbucks. Starbucks is widely perceived in India as the highest standard of coffee quality. For many consumers, the brand represents sophistication, global taste, and premium lifestyle. That perception alone leads people to trust the coffee without questioning how it is sourced, processed, or adapted for mass distribution. The core issue with Starbucks coffee is its heavy reliance on very dark roasting. Dark roasts create a strong, smoky flavor that tastes consistent no matter where the beans come from. This roasting style makes it difficult to detect bean defects, uneven quality, or age. What consumers experience as a signature taste is often the result of roasting intensity, not exceptional coffee. Another concern is blended sourcing designed for scale. Starbucks sources beans from multiple regions and blends them to maintain uniform flavor across millions of cups. While this works for consistency, it reduces transparency and traceability. Indian consumers are paying premium prices for a global brand experience, not for clearly defined quality, freshness, or origin in the coffee itself.
These are the coffee brands most Indians grow up trusting without question. But once you understand how mass-market coffee is produced, it becomes clear why choosing the right brand matters far more than most people realize. 4. Blue Tokai Coffee. Blue Tokai represents a very different approach to coffee for Indian consumers. Instead of relying on nostalgia or mass familiarity, the brand built its reputation around transparency, education, and quality. It treats coffee as an agricultural product, not just a packaged commodity. One of the key differences is sourcing. Blue Tokai works with single-origin Indian farms and clearly communicates where its beans come from. This traceability allows better control over quality, harvesting practices, and storage conditions, which is especially important in India's climate. The roasting philosophy is also different. Blue Tokai uses lighter, controlled roasting that preserves the natural characteristics of the bean instead of masking flaws. The result is cleaner flavor, more complexity, and a product that reflects real quality rather than industrial consistency.
3. Araku Coffee. Araku coffee comes from a single growing region in India, the Araku Valley, and treats coffee as a reflection of place rather than a mass product. Instead of scaling through heavy processing, the brand focuses on preserving the natural quality of the beans from farm to cup. One of Araku's strengths is its emphasis on careful cultivation and harvesting. Beans are grown in controlled conditions with close attention to soil, climate, and handling. This reduces variability and minimizes degradation before roasting, which is critical in India's humid environment.
The roasting approach is intentionally restrained. Araku avoids aggressive dark roasting and instead highlights balance and clarity. The result is a cleaner cup that reflects bean quality rather than masking flaws, offering Indian consumers a clearer example of what well-handled coffee can taste like.
2. Sleepy Owl Coffee. Sleepy Owl speaks to a new generation of Indian coffee drinkers who value freshness and clarity over tradition alone. The brand positions coffee as a daily ritual that should taste clean and consistent, not overly bitter or burnt. This mindset already sets it apart from legacy mass-market options. A key strength is its focus on freshness and controlled sourcing. Sleepy Owl works with Indian-grown beans and emphasizes faster turnaround from roasting to consumption. Shorter storage times reduce flavor loss and degradation, which is especially important in India's warm climate. The roasting style is intentionally moderate, avoiding extreme dark roasts. This allows the natural profile of the beans to come through instead of overpowering everything with bitterness. The result is smoother coffee that reflects better handling rather than aggressive processing.
1. Country Bean Coffee. Country Bean is positioned for Indian consumers who want better quality without moving fully into niche or experimental coffee. The brand focuses on cleaner formulations and a more balanced approach compared to legacy instant and mass-market options. This alone places it ahead of most mainstream choices. One of its key differences is a stronger emphasis on bean selection. Country Bean highlights Arabica-forward profiles and avoids the extremely harsh bitterness common in cheaper coffees. This suggests better control over sourcing and fewer compromises made purely for cost. The processing and roasting are also less aggressive. Instead of pushing beans to extremes for consistency, Country Bean aims for smoother flavor and drinkability. For Indian consumers, this results in coffee that feels lighter, cleaner, and closer to real bean quality rather than industrial output. What you drink every morning matters more than you think. If this changed how you see coffee in India, subscribe now. We expose what brands don't tell you and help you choose better, cleaner options for your daily cup.